Let me say from the start that my history of learning foreign languages was not always impressive. I studied French and German at school for over 5 years, but left with no more than a rudimentary knowledge, certainly incapable of speaking or understanding either in real life. Even after leaving school, finding some good teachers, studying a lot, and finally achieving fluency in 2 or 3 languages many years later, I can also say that my methodology was not great. In fact, I would confess that at best it was highly inefficient, or at worst, I completely wasted a great deal of time. Let's start with what is not best practiced. First, learning lists of vocabulary with your language on one side and the foreign language on the other. Although it may seem superficially that you have learned the words, in actual fact they are not part of your personal speaking vocabulary. In other words, when you need them, they don't arrive in your mouth. In addition, it takes a lot of time. There is no context, and there is also a close link in your brain with your own language, and this only encourages you to translate from your own language when speaking the foreign language. I'm not saying that there is never a place for this kind of memorization. Sometimes it's necessary, particularly at the start of the language learning process, when you have zero vocabulary. I'm just saying that this should never be your principal way of acquiring useful vocabulary. Second case of bad practice: spending hours writing out grammar exercises. As before, I'm not saying that there is no place for this. Learning and practicing grammar is an essential part of most people's language learning journey. However, many students place an excessive emphasis on this part of language learning and spend little time on anything else. One little tip: try doing the exercises orally. And I mean speaking out loud, not just in your head, instead of writing the answers down. So, what is the best way to learn a foreign language? Let's make it simple. Learning a foreign language usually involves 4 skills: 2 active and 2 passive. The 2 active skills are speaking and writing, in that you actively produce output. The 2 passive skills are reading and listening, passive in the sense that you passively absorb input. I said that the solution is simple. Let me give you an example. If you want to learn to play the game of tennis, you can sit in a classroom and study the theory of tennis. You can learn about the muscles you need to use and how you should move your arms and your legs. You can learn and memorize the rules of the game. However, there is only one way to make progress and reach a top level. That is to go out and start playing tennis. And the same is true of learning languages. If you want to improve your speaking, you must practice speaking. And if you want to improve your writing, you must practice writing. If you want to improve your reading, you must practice reading. And if you want to improve your listening, hey, guess what? You must practice listening. So let's look at 2 of these skills in more detail. Firstly, reading. Have you ever read a novel in English? If not, why not? There is a huge variety of literature available in the English language, and I'm not just talking about Shakespeare. Does the idea of reading a novel sound too difficult? Do you think it's not realistic? If you believe this, then think again. The idea is very, very realistic for most language learners, even those with an intermediate level. Like every other skill in life, you can improve by practice. So, start practicing. Let me give you a few tips. First, I suggest starting with something by Agatha Christie. I suggest this because A, her novels are not always very long. B, the storyline is usually not so complicated. C, She writes in clear standard English, and D, her novels are available almost everywhere in the world. When you read, try not to use a dictionary unless absolutely necessary. Instead, try to guess the word. Now, I don't mean a random guess. I mean an educated guess. In other words, look at the context, decide whether you are looking at a noun, a verb, or an adjective. Ask yourself, does it look like another word you do know, or a word in your own language? And then, once you have guessed, move on. Don't worry if you're right or wrong. Your brain is an amazing piece of machinery which has the ability to remember, cross-reference, revise, adjust as and when it receives new information. After a few weeks of using this approach, you will be amazed at the improvement in your ability to read and understand. In addition, you will find that you are learning a large number of new words without even noticing. Listening is often the most neglected skill. This is ironic because it's actually the easiest to practice and thereby improve. Nowadays it's relatively simple to find movies and TV series in English. You can use services like Netflix, Amazon, Sky. Also, if you have a smart TV, in many countries now you can change the language of a movie to the original language. YouTube also offers a huge choice of content in English at no cost. So, start listening. Choose a TV series or a movie and watch. There are 2 golden rules. A. Don't expect to understand at the start. And B. Don't try to understand. Simply relax and try and enjoy the movie. I would recommend not using subtitles in any language. If you feel that this is really too much at the start, try watching about 20 minutes with subtitles in whatever language, and then rewind and watch the same 20 minutes without subtitles. Alternatively, you could choose something which you've already seen in your own native language. Above all, be patient. You probably won't notice any immediate improvements in your ability to understand. It usually takes a few months for the improvements to be obvious. But trust me, improve you will. So, good luck everyone. Remember, the 2 most important things you need to learn any language are time and patience.